brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1173, October 17th, 2023. 84 degrees was the high on this day in 1910. 22 degrees on two occasions, 1948 and 1952.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Ellison from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
Scott Mature out in Montana said we have a case of two GL lexicons at once. It's probably safe to say that less than 1% of the world knows the name of the Las Vegas shooter in 2017.
Okay.
We now know his name's Stephen Paddock.
It would have taken me a million years to
After the initial tragedy, the media never mentioned his name again, much in the same vein as not releasing the face or name of mass shooters. So not only has the left power washed the name Paddock, but by now bringing global attention to the reason for the name change, they have essentially also windmilled themselves. Because now they have reminded the world and brought to light the name of the Las Vegas shooter. It's power washing and windmilling. I think he's right.
Okay, I'll buy that.
I think he's right.
There you go, Scotty.
And Bert, is he Bert today? No, he's Willard. We can't have pit building. I am triggered as I was once aggressively sniffed by a pit bull. This should be changed. I find Brad Pitt troublesome. Cherry pits are dangerous. You could fall into a pit. Am I being ridiculous? In the future, there will be no words. Something always bothers someone. Also, John mentioned balloon releases in a story. I don't remember that story, John. You must have had a story yesterday in which balloons were released for something.
I think it was a funeral or something, I believe, if I remember right.
Well, Willard points out those should be banned. The balloons go up and then fall to earth where they could choke wildlife or a non-binary high school student. And another thing, regarding the replacement of coffee in the morning, am I canning apricots or do I can apricot? I get confused. To be clear about the semantics, not the activity. Perhaps a visit to Madame Blucher's apricot cannery would be in order.
Aha.
And Downing has a great note on something not unrelated to, first I got to do this one. I didn't know this. You ready for this?
Go.
This is from David Severson. The word paddock was canceled, as you stated. In 1980, the post office was going to issue a stamp honoring the Hinckley fire. But that was canceled after the Reagan assassination attempt because they thought people would think that the post office was honoring John Hinckley.
Wow.
Things never change. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't use my name. Golly, I'm sorry.
How dumb are we?
That was Richard Smith who wrote that. I'm sorry.
How dumb do they think we were and we are?
Matthew, how many people outside of Minnesota know about the Hinckley fire?
0. The people that go to Florida for the winter, maybe, or Arizona.
I'm going to give David Downing his annual pumpkin patch plug.
Oh, he puts together a good spot over there.
And they're down there on a great big hay wagon.
Yep.
It's fun. He sells pumpkins on the weekends.
He's got his overalls on.
Under the Highland Water Tower. He looks like a big rube farmer chewing on a piece of straw. He's got the bad hat.
Yep.
He's got the overalls on.
Has David added a weed dispensary to the business?
No.
Can a guy buy a doobie from him?
And you know what? They are the best pumpkins. They're great.
Yeah, he puts together
it's
a good
where
show.
the mayor of Garage Logic gets his pumpkins.
Is that where you roam through the pumpkin patch?
That's your plug, David. Now,
you just did an endorsement, Joe.
I know.
That's
Here's
for the mayor.
But
yeah.
I'm paying him back for today's Downing email. He often has interesting thoughts.
Yeah, true.
These students at the failed academy who support Hamas, aren't they the same ones who insist we begin any college gathering with a land acknowledgement that we are all standing on Native American land, but they make no effort to give the land back? How would they react if, during the commencement, for example, Native people who resented the presence of the colonizing students stormed the campus with guns and knives and killed 1,000 college students, parents, and faculty? Would the survivors issue a statement in support of the killers? Isn't that a great analogy?
That's a very good analogy.
Speaking of that,
Yes,
Here we go. We're not going to go, are we?
what?
Are you and John going to start fighting now?
No.
Okay.
like a couple of little schoolgirls.
No, I'm going right to Keith Ellison.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
This was reported in something called the Free Beacon. But I
Digress.
it's as far as I can tell, it's absolutely true. We had a pro-Hamas rally here over the weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Democratic Attorney General Keith Ellison's chief of staff was a promoter of that pro-Hamas rally, where
Amazing.
demonstrators called for Israel's eradication and told Israeli settlers to blank off.
Okay.
All right, they used a word, but not blank.
Got.
Donna Kasut, who has served as Ellison's chief of staff since 2019, advertised the rally in a Sunday tweet, which alerted Minnesotans that the March for Palestine was happening today. That was Sunday. More than 1,000 pro-Hamas demonstrators went on to attend the rally in Minneapolis. Attendees brandished signs and repeated chants with the slogan, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," which advocates for the destruction of Israel. One attendee held a sign saying "Settlers blank off," while others called to end U.S. aid to Israel. Kasut's promotion of the event comes as other prominent left-wing politicians face criticism over their own ties to pro-Hamas rallies in the wake of the terror group's unprovoked assault on Israel. The Democratic Socialists of America, for example, sponsored an October 8 All Out for Palestine rally in Times Square, where attendees chanted that the terrorist assault was justified. The rally prompted the party's prominent members, such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, to distance themselves from the demonstration. Occasional Cortex said last week that the bigotry and callousness expressed in Times Square was unacceptable.
Okay.
So she's trying to protect her third rail life,
Yes,
isn't she?
Very much so.
But Ellison's office is yet to distance itself from the Minneapolis rally and did not return a request for comment. Ellison has also remained silent on the Hamas attack, with the Democrat failing to issue a statement on the terror group's mass killing of innocent Israelis. A pair of anti-Israel groups, American Muslims for Palestine and Students for Justice in Palestine, sponsored the rally in Minneapolis. Those groups have defended and even praised Hamas and its terrorists following its attack on Israel. American Muslims for Palestine, one day after the attack, issued a statement blaming Hamas's terrorism on increased Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people, while Students for Justice in Palestine's University of Minnesota chapter organized a Monday vigil in loving memory of Palestine's martyrs. There was no loving memory of the Israeli slaughters.
Interesting.
First of all, this was not an attack. It was a response. American Muslims for Palestine said on its website, one day after Hamas terrorists slaughtered 1,300 people, including women and children. The groups for Hamas is unsurprising. Its board member, Salah Sassour, played a direct role in fundraising for the terror group in the late 1990s, according to an FBI memorandum. Sarsour, in July of 2018, co-hosted a fundraising event for Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, who also blamed Israel for the Hamas terror attack, saying the Jewish state's apartheid system creates the suffocating, dehumanizing conditions that can lead to resistance. Ellison himself is known for his association with the anti-Semitic Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, having repeatedly met with Farrakhan while serving in the U.S. House of Representatives. Ellison, in 1997, defended Farrakhan from accusations of anti-Semitism, saying the notorious leader who has compared Jews to termites is not an anti-Semite. All right. So there you have it. So it's, you get a lot going on around here.
Yeah, too much to handle. Way too much to handle.
And what do we have here? Oh,
How can you not be an anti-Semite when you call Jews termites?
I would think that's a tip-off.
How does that work?
I think that's a tip-off.
I don't get it.
Reavers, at my behest, and I'm grateful, I told you, we have a listener in Northfield, Carl Bear. And he sent me yesterday what I forwarded to you guys. I wonder if you read it, Kenny and John.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
It was
Did you
very
find
good.
it
It was excellent.
interesting?
Yeah.
I found it educational. It's a rabbi in California who teaches at Loyola. His name is Barkley. What's his first name?
Carl.
Michael Barkley.
Michael. Yep.
And he
Carl's who sent it to us, Carl Bear.
and Carl read this and forwarded it to me, and I read it, and I was taken by it as a real easy to understand history of what's happening in that part of the world. And lo and behold, Barclay returned our call. You talked to him last night.
I did for about 20 minutes.
And are you confident you can book him for Friday?
Well, we spoke, and he wanted to come on the show right away. He was booked both today and tomorrow. So
Okay.
I said Thursday initially, but we'll try to.
I can do the show Thursday, but we'd have to start it later than usual because I have a funeral that I must attend.
Right. We'll make arrangements for him to be on the show, whether it's later in the day on Thursday or Friday.
All right. So anyway, we're going to talk to this fellow.
Okay.
Because
We are now. I will say this: we will all have a great education about this because he was extremely knowledgeable.
Because we're morons and he's not. How's that?
Yes.
That's one way you could put it. We're believers. He's a non-believer, and the non-believers know the story.
Okay.
There's no reason why we can't, get along.
I don't know why not.
Yeah.
Now, last night I was watching the Channel 4 news at 10 o'clock because Channel 5 news was delayed a bit to complete the Dallas Chargers football game. All right. And for the second time, I've seen it on other outlets around town. We were mourning the loss of apparently a wonderful teacher who taught at Talmud Torah in St. Paul. And he had moved back to Israel a few years ago, but had remained in contact with his friends here and the families of students and the people he worked with. Apparently a hell of a guy. And he was among those wiped out at the music festival. So last night it was Channel 4's turn to go to Talmud Torah and interview people about the significance of this fellow and why they all loved him. And the main person getting interviewed in the story was Rebecca Noker.
Okay.
She's a city councilwoman for St. Paul, Ward 2, downtown. Never once was that mentioned. Now, is it possible that it wasn't mentioned because the reporter didn't know that she was a city council member? Or was it not mentioned because maybe she said, you don't need to put the part in there that I'm a city council member? Because the reason I bring it up is I think if you're interviewing people about the loss of this teacher, you've got a little you've got a little heads up over the competition when even the likes of the city council have been affected by the loss of this guy. That Rebecca Noker knew the guy well and was fond of the way she taught her two sons. He taught her two sons and this and that and the other thing. And I'm just wondering, is that me? Or is it not important that she would have been identified as a city council member? She was just identified as a parent of kids at the school.
I think you're right. It should have been brought up.
Newsworthy.
Yeah,
It's
mentioned for sure.
It's
title is
noteworthy.
newsworthy.
Yeah.
I would think so.
So, what is your theory? That it was.
My theory is one of two things. The reporter, who's relatively new to the Twin Cities, somebody named something. I don't have his name in front of me. Where in the hell's his name?
The reporter?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Either he didn't know that she was a city council member, or he did know, and she said, well, let's just leave that part out, although I don't know why she would have wanted to keep that part out.
I don't either.
Anyway, it's not important. The teacher's name is
Noy Maudie,
and he
29-year-old.
was well respected and terribly missed by the people who knew him when he was here, and then he moved back to Israel. That's all I had on that. I was just wondering if it was just me, or am I reading too much into it? Or
Well, okay, but in this day and age, isn't that bad that that's how you have to think?
well, it could fall under the rubric of reporting is it what it used to be.
Be interesting to know how many people actually caught that.
Yeah.
Probably no one.
I was going to say one.
Okay, but now
Probably it's not important.
in the Pioneer Press, Frederick Malo,
Yeah.
she was city council member. It was
Well, Fred covers the city council, so he obviously knew who she was. Right.
It would be bad if he didn't.
We love to find local angles on big stories, and this fellow was a very legitimate, strong local angle to what happened Saturday in Israel.
there is donations are being collected at the GoFundMe. You can do your
For
own
him?
research.
For him?
To his family who hope to rebuild his beloved Moshav and other communities in the region of Israel, in the Eshkol region of Israel. They're going to need a lot of money.
Your garage door guy. You know what? I have a new request when I last make my call and get these guys over. But my new garage door guy is Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities. And I was talking to a fellow this morning who told me, you got a lot of red squirrels on this property. Mm. And I'm not real up on my red squirrel knowledge. I said, how are they different than gray ones? He said, the gray ones are just mischievous. The red ones will get in there and try and eat everything you own. Oh. And so there are some gaps in my garage door, and I'm going to have Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities take care of it because I have no doubt that's an adjustment problem.
Yeah, I would.
And they can take care of everything. They serve the metro in western Wisconsin. They work weekends and don't charge extra. They do everything. And by everything, I mean even including the installation of a new door if you want one. Every review I've seen is 5 stars, and the emails I get are really praiseworthy of the work these people do, and they guarantee every job they do, and they aren't satisfied until you are. It's Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities. Find them at precisiondoormn.com or call them at 612-263-6985.
You know, the investment game can be awfully tricky, especially in these volatile times, and that's why you need the best, and also somebody that you can trust, and that's why I rely on Josh Arnold. We know him as Mr. Money Talk around these parts, and he's here for you. So give him a call today for that free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation by dialing 952-925-5608. 952-925-5608. Josh has been at this a long time with a track record of success, and he's here to help you. So give him a call today. No obligation. That's right. No obligation. It's absolutely free. 952-925-5608. And tell him you heard about him here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Soucheray.
I'm trying to figure it out, fellas. It's the 17th today, right? That means 14 more days till October 31st,
Yes,
Tuesday,
sir.
end of the month. That's how long the 20% off sale is going on at Maple Grove Lock and Safe right now. 20% off on all in-stock Liberty safes to make room for new stuff coming in. And Rich, the owner, will also throw in a free accessory installation deal for you. When it comes to protecting our goods, our stuff, our firearms, money, gold bars, wheat pennies, Maple Grove Lock and Safe and Liberty Safe. That's the best combination here in the Midwest. Rich has been at it for 30 years. Liberty Safe, they've had some scrutiny here in the last month or so, haven't they? A couple of months. They have now changed their policy regarding keeping backdoor access codes. And I think you'll be pretty pleased. If you were upset with Liberty, this will put things right again. And if you have questions, make sure you ask Rich about it. He can explain everything to you. But, I mean, let's face it, the Liberty Safe, best in the business, and 20% off. You can't go wrong. That's for the rest of October. 6901 East Fish Lake Road in Maple Grove, or right there on the web, maplegrovelockandsafe.com.
Further proof that I don't like the phrase quite literally. It's used too often, isn't it?
Okay.
But quite literally.
Quite literally, it is.
Our driving and what we drive will be determined by the government, and that infuriates me. Mm-hmm. Minnesota's vehicle emission standards are poised to take effect next year, after the U.S. Supreme Court has declined to take up a lawsuit filed by the auto dealers in Minnesota, challenging a new state rule that's championed by Governor Walz. Minnesota became the first state in the Midwest to adopt California's stricter tailpipe emission standards because of climate change, of course.
Yes.
The new rule, which encountered stiff opposition from Republicans, also includes a mandate for automakers to bolster their stock of all-electric and hybrid vehicles.
See, this is where I get mad. I don't like the government telling private businesses what they can and cannot stock.
Did you see the video of the reporter that took Biden's press gal to task on why why does this administration want to shut down automobile industry and oil companies?
Yeah.
And she said, why do you think they want to do that? And he said, because you want to end fossil fuel use.
It's happening.
And she didn't have a response.
The new rule, which encountered, but not everyone was on board. The Minnesota Auto Dealers Association filed suit against the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, claiming regulatory overreach. Now, keep in mind, that's an unelected body. Mm-hmm. And they're telling you what you're going to drive.
I don't want them to.
The Minnesota Court of Appeals upheld the state's clean air mandates, and the state Supreme Court denied the case in May, prompting the appeal to the big guys, the Supreme Court. In its petition to the High Court, MATA, the Minnesota Auto Dealers Association, their lawyers claimed tying the state's air quality regulations to California's folly. California is not Minnesota. It does not have California's smog and air pollution problems so long as Canada keeps its forests from burning down. That's what the lawyers told the Supreme Court. The president of the Dealers Association, Scott, we know Scott, don't we? Scott Lambert.
Friend of GL, yes.
Said auto dealers were disappointed with the U.S. Supreme Court's decision. We believe using California's rules is not a good fit for Minnesota, Lambert said. Well, he's being very diplomatic, isn't he? It's worse than not a good fit. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Minnesota dealers are happy to sell customers electric vehicles if that's what they want, but we're not in favor of a mandate that requires us to stock vehicles that have little demand. This is Sensem's razor, isn't it? Common sense cannot exist because of too many other variables at play here.
I can't find anywhere a quota that every dealer must have a certain amount of vehicles on their lot. All I see is 14,000 new electric vehicles on their lots plural.
Transportation is the state's leading source of global warming emissions. Well, I can find you scientific graphs that say that's not warming.
That's not science, Joe. Denier.
The new clean car rules take effect January 1st, covering the 2025 car and truck models. Environmental advocates in Minnesota relish the win. Clean transportation is not only important for our health, but it's necessary for our economy. J. Drake Hamilton, a senior director for science policy for the St. Paul-based nonprofit Fresh Energy, said. How many of these groups are there, do you think?
I can't wait till you're done so I can put a possible positive spin on this.
Transitioning to a zero-emissions vehicle fleet will provide good-paying jobs and save consumers money at the pump. Cliches. That's cliches. What are the jobs? You need fewer people to make an electric car. You need a lot of people for the mining, but you are the same people that don't like the mining.
Right.
The MPCA notes the rule does not apply to existing vehicles or used vehicles for sale, nor does it require emissions testing or the outright purchase of an electric vehicle. Okay, they're claiming we're not demanding the outright purchase of an electric vehicle, but you have a timeline in mind when the only vehicles available will be electric.
Well, not yet.
2030?
But possibly in the future, depending on what California does. It gets complicated and weird.
Well,
here.
California's already banned gas-powered cars after the year 2035.
So here's the deal. This in Minnesota, this is for 2024 only. The regulation requiring EVs to be stocked in Minnesota would only be in effect for that 1 year because California has updated its regulations to ban the sale of new internal combustion engines in 2035. So the Walz administration has two options here. Drop it or adopt California's rule. And it also says, or we should follow either California or the federal environmental standards. There are no federal environmental standards, so it's California or drop it. What do you think Walz is going to do?
California.
Yeah. We might be screwed.
Because Walz has been a thorough disappointment. There's no reason to believe he'll come to his senses now.
And you know he wants to move to Washington, Joe. You know he does.
Well, we'll have to warn the country, won't we?
Yeah.
A lot of good it'll do.
Yeah.
I just don't want the government telling me what car to drive. The government knows no more about the air than I do.
Right. Or the future, or how long it will take, or what amount of...
The government says every supermarket has to have 300 pounds of kale on hand all the time. The government says that golf shops can only sell Titleist balls. Yeah. The government, we could go on and on and on. They're all ludicrous. All of them.
%38% of those surveyed said they were very or somewhat likely to consider an EV when buying their next vehicle. This is terribly interesting. If it wasn't so reflective of the incompetence we suffer from. Minnesota has launched a program for rebates of $2,500 and $600 for new and used EV purchases, respectively. That's more than people got back on this fake refund deal from the surplus. This government, which takes your money, will now give you more to implement their electric vehicle wishes than they will for the overtaxation you've suffered.
That's very telling.
Still suffering, by the way.
And by the way...
There's already a surplus.
Yeah.
By the way, the incompetence is so profound that we now learn... I chose a public radio story, NPR news story. Minnesota budget officials said Monday that the state's surplus is on track to be 50% larger than projected this year. Minnesota brought in more revenue from taxes and fees than forecast this spring and spent slightly less than expected. The result, a balance of $820 million higher than the $1.6 billion prior projection, Minnesota Management and Budget reported in its end-of-the-year fiscal analysis. The extra funds are set to be added to the state surplus for the next budget cycle. State officials earlier this year said their two-year projected budget surplus, $17.5 billion, was testimony to the fact that Minnesota had withstood the challenges posed by COVID-19 and outpaced the U.S. economy. I don't see it that way. The bulk of that surplus was divvied up in the budget setting process earlier this year. Lawmakers are expected to take up a supplemental budget bill and capital investment bill in 2024. No, what they did is they created ways to spend that money, which means that you will have to create that $18 billion in perpetuity, only to discover that they'll even increase that now that they've discovered they got their budget wrong.
Do this math for me. Did you give me a total yet? I have 1.6. That's projected.
Yeah.
Plus 820 million. What's the final number there? Give me the number.
The balance of
2
million higher than
2.4.
2 and 6 is
2 point. We're already at 2.4 billion. I wonder if they've spent it yet.
well. That's the problem. They will spend it. Yeah, you in the back.
22 hours ago,
Yeah.
your governor,
Yep.
King Walls,
Yep.
just announced a new program.
Dear
Another
leader.
One, huh?
$316 million
Yeah.
to boost pay for child care providers in the state of Minnesota.
We can afford
can
that.
afford
Joe,
that.
We
it's
can afford-
nothing.
Somebody cut a check. Where's my checkbook?
Well,
We
when
are
he's-
going to make this the first state in the nation to provide direct funding to support the child care workforce. I guarantee that'll have zero fraud. Zero fraud.
Oh, there was a story about fraud in one of the papers, too. Where did I see that? Oh,
316
Sahan
mil.
Journal, food fraud.
That's a lot of money. 316
Well,
mil.
listen, this ties right into what I can tell you about what the center of the American experiment has going. The Golden Turkey Awards. Minnesota's government wastes money. Really?
This just in.
Each year, the center of the American experiment gives out the Golden Turkey Award to the best waste of money, and right now they're accepting nominations. I said yesterday, and I'll stick with it, the surplus. They're wasting $18 billion.
Now 24.
If you have an example of ridiculous spending in Minnesota's government, go to americanexperiment.org/golden turkey. The finalists will be named October 30. That's a Monday. That's a day before Halloween. And the winner of the 2024 Golden Turkey Award gets an electric car. No, I'm kidding. They don't get an electric car. I'm kidding. But the winner will be announced on November 22nd, right here on GL.
Let's go.
The winner of the Center of the American Experiment's Golden Turkey Awards will be announced here. If you have an example of ridiculous spending in Minnesota's government, and don't we all,
Yep.
go to americanexperiment.org/golden turkey. Make golden turkey one word. And then submit your ridiculous example and try to win yourself what we call a golden turkey.
Here's a man that doesn't like parades. It's Joe Souchere.
Okay, Chris, why do you turn this down?
I didn't do
I was doing a
anything
live
to it.
liner.
Do they give you anxiety like daytime television?
Okay, Chris, why doesn't that work right now?
Somebody cue me.
I
ahead, Ken.
got you right here.
It's time to play Love Hardware Store.
Yes, it is.
I don't know why.
So my trail cam, yesterday my trail cam captured a trespasser.
Ooh.
A buxom blonde, looked awfully
now.
familiar. I actually might live with her, but what was notable about this trespasser is what she was driving. It was a Polaris Ranger. When I think Polaris Ranger, I think MoonMotorsports.com, family owned and operated 50 years. Moon, yes, Polaris Rangers, you better believe it. Sportsman, yeah, Can-Am, Honda, Yamaha, Skidoo. They are off-road experts here in Minnesota, and boy, did she pick a hell of a day to go for a ride in a side-by-side. That's what it's all about in this state.
Was she
Getting-
shooting stuff?
No, she had her camera with, if that counts. She was shooting red oak trees, which are in full bloom
It's
right
time to
now.
play.
Okay, thanks, Chris. That was very smooth, and I appreciate your expertise. You're a true professional.
Sorry.
ATVs, side-by-sides, snowmobiles, Moon Motorsports has all of them, the largest inventory selection in the region. You can see all the new and used units at moonmotorsports.com. And if you like the outdoors, they can set you up from summer, fall, winter, and back into spring. Moon has the machine for you. If you're unsure about what you need, just ask somebody there. The men and women that work there, they're just like us. They're into the outdoors. If you need to store your bike for the winter, reserve a spot right now today. They've been in Monticello for over 50 years, 25 minutes west of the metro, south side of 94, west of 25. and on the web, moonmotorsports.com.
London, Madrid, Bangkok, Moscow, the Twin Cities. From the four corners of the world, from the news capitals at home and abroad.
Here's
the day's headlines brought into focus.
Right
The
now.
issues and events that shape our time. Garage Logic,
It's
the
John.
information beacon of Minnesota, presents the John Heidt News Experience.
Finally, and
An
here's-
up-to-the-minute commentary from one of journalism's most trusted voices. 5-time winner of the Gopher News Hawk Award. Now, with all the news fit to broadcast, here's John Heidt.
all right.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Jail today. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
In the news, officers from the Minnesota DNR are investigating incidents where a timber wolf was found shot dead and more than a dozen dead ducks were found on the side of the road in Morrison County. A Facebook post from DNR officials said the wolf was killed near Buckman, while the remains of the ducks were found dumped on the side of the road in Little Falls. DNR officials said in the post, quote, "This behavior is not only illegal, it gives all hunters a bad name." Some of the ducks were found fully intact, others were only partially cleaned. Shooting wolves is illegal in Minnesota due to their federally protected status, meaning they can only be killed when defending human life. If you have any information on either of the incidents, you're asked to contact the Turn-In Poachers Hotline at 800-652-9093. Callers can remain anonymous.
Why wouldn't you eat the ducks?
Joe, Morrison County, go.
Monoman, Marshall, Martin, Morrison, Mauer, Murray, McLeod. No, McLeod, Meeker, Mille Lacs, Morrison, Mauer, Murray,
Metamucil.
Metamucil.
You're right.
Monoman, Marshall, Martin, McLeod, Meeker, Mille Lacs, Morrison, Mauer, Murray.
Got it.
Whew.
Duck breast.
Oh, I love it.
Here's what you do, Matthew. You get a hold of some duck breasts. You marinate them in Kikkoman soy sauce for the afternoon.
Okay.
Wrap them in bacon. Put them on the grill for about 30 seconds.
Ooh.
And they are so...
I bet that's pretty good.
So good. Oh. And so anybody who threw away ducks, I'm sorry, we have a problem. Anybody that shot a wolf and let it lay, we probably don't have a problem.
No. You don't care, do you?
That's Minnesota taking care of Minnesota right there. The duck thing, that is egregious.
Current conditions in South St. Paul at 7:45 a.m. The roast was put in the crock pot. Stick of butter, dry ranch, brown gravy, carrots, onions, and some special sauce.
That's what I had a week or so ago?
And it's on low.
It's Tuesday.
It's going to cook for...
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, but she's working at the Learn to Learn so she comes home late. So
it's boiled meat.
This is my lemon pepper steak. This is my night for dinner.
Huh.
Do you have a dish?
Apparently not. He's got just one.
A hot
apparently.
dog? Oh, okay.
The story.
Wait, one more food thing for Such. The roommate came home with a tub of cottage cheese so big.
I don't like the word tub.
It had a handle on it.
Like an ice cream?
Wow.
That's a tub.
Like it was tile paste or
Must have
something.
been on sale, huh?
I don't know.
Wow.
It cracked me up, though.
That's not a tub. That's a bucket. That's a whole bucket.
There's only certain meals that I can eat cottage cheese with.
Number one.
Really?
Anything with a red sauce, I could eat cottage cheese.
Here's Kenny's tip with cottage cheese. A fresh tomato, slice it, cover it, slather it with salt, big dollop of cottage cheese, cover that with pepper, go to town.
Go ahead,
with the
John.
name, with the name of Height, being from North Dakota, I got to tell you about the case nip, which are just little dough things filled with cottage cheese and fried in butter.
Good.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
let's do that recipe.
So good.
This is going to turn into the WWE.
Let's go.
Show.
It's fine. Makes me hungry.
The story Joe had that you had, Joe, on NPR. There's a little more too that we can add to it that'll make you shake your head. First is, as Joe said, NPR reporting in its quarterly update, the management budget folks said overall tax collections over the last few months blew by all projections. The collections exceeded estimates by $400 million, or almost 7%. Now they also reported they overestimated how many Minnesotans would be eligible for tax rebate checks. And that means all that money that they put aside for rebates, there was a bunch left over.
Yeah.
144 million to be
you don't
exact.
have to give that out.
Are you kidding me?
Theirs, John.
No.
That's their money.
When lawmakers approved the one-time rebates this spring, they had projections of a give back that would top $1.1 billion, while the final amount was below $1 billion. The difference was noted in a quarterly economic memo released by Minnesota's finance agency. A Department of Revenue officials said they used 2019 income tax returns to set the estimate, and while they weren't quite right, they said that led to an overcount of how many dependents could be covered.
Okay, question. If they were going to take that money and then send it to us, would that mean each one of us would get a check for like $20? Does anybody know? Can we do the math that quickly?
No idea.
All right.
On the third rail, have you noticed when you get video from inside the Capitol that these frauds are walking around and they're trailed by about 15 people?
Yes. Staff.
Sycophants.
This just phony Jim Jordan has always got about 15 people around him.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? And then you see him go into his office, and it's just this magnificent office with his name in mahogany on the outside. These people truly are living a life separate from the rest of us.
You know what? All they're doing, one of them is updating his Pornhub status.
Yeah.
The other one's ordering lunch. The other one's taking care of his babysitting. It's
And the breathless 27-year-old women are hoping that they can meet somebody, and it's just they're in their own world.
Joe,
has
it makes me
nothing to
sick.
do with us.
It makes me sick, Joe.
They all have the paddles like in Blazing Saddles at Mel Brooks when he was governor.
Yeah.
How come I always get a warped one?
Is Jim Jordan going to be the speaker?
Well, the first
short
vote
now.
failed. Yeah, he's short. So,
But he's
we
Trump's
don't
guy.
know.
Throw Emmer in there. Let's go.
Emmer's Trump's guy. Emmer's never said an unkind word about Trump that I'm aware of.
I trust him.
He doesn't have the balls to stand on his own.
I would say
he's
that
a
to his-
Minnesotan.
I would say that to his face, but I also
would.
trust him. I also trust him more than anybody else out there.
Well, thanks to the Republican Party, the Democrats will continue to rule over us like
Right.
kings and queens.
There were no serious injuries after a collision between
And
a
who
school
does
bus.
Dean Phillips think he is?
I don't know.
Does this moron think he's presidential timber?
Go make some vodka.
Are you kidding me?
Really?
This is amazing.
I mean,
I mean,
Sometimes you have to
I
precede it with
mean-
I know.
I that's-
know. I mean,
that's just your opinion, man.
man.
I like it when you guys
literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
At the end of the day.
Right. And
No offense intended, but
I know, right?
well, what's your phrase?
That one kills me. I know, right?
I know. No, what's your one today? Always.
Literally.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Quite literally, yeah. There were no serious injuries after a collision between a school bus and a car, according to the Brooklyn Park Police Department. It happened yesterday at 97th Avenue and Fall Gold Parkway. Neither the driver of the bus nor 28 students on the bus reported to have any injuries. The driver of the car suffered minor injuries. According to authorities, there were no signs of impairment by either driver, and the cause of the crash is still under investigation. Brooklyn Park Police were assisted by Minnesota State Patrol and Osseo School District transportation staff.
there was another one this morning,
Sorry,
John.
pardon me. Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't think any kids were on the bus.
Oh, got it.
Hey, if Emmer has consensus, I'd go for Emmer as speaker.
Okay.
Well, you don't have any say in the matter.
Of course not.
You're just,
I just pay them. That's all I
Right.
do. I just pay them.
Yep.
Why don't we take a quick break here and hear from our friend, the rookie.
Funny that you come to me when things start to heat up. If you want to heat up your home, then you go directly to welterheating.com. They don't have any funny jingles. You know, it's like, if your house ain't hot, it's not heat you got, call Ray Welter. You think that'll fly?
No.
Rick's going to reject that one. All right, well, if you want to give them your own jingle, you can. And it can be great, or it can be refused by the mayor of Garage Logic, like mine just was. Shut down. You know what you don't want shut down? You don't want your heating unit shut
This is a
down right
very
now.
strange ad.
It's really. And you know what? The Welter family, they
I
don't.
mean-
I mean Welters. How do we know them? them? Well, because they've been around 100 years, and it's 4 generations. I mean, what do?
That's
They
just
come
your
out-
opinion, man.
Yeah, it's my opinion, man, that they're going to shut down your cooling system. Who is this Welter people? 100 years, 4 generations. They're not going anywhere. And again, they don't have quirky stuff on their vans, the jingle or whatever.
No, it's got you.
They got me. Boy, they're scraping the barrel. The lowest of the low. But the smartest certified techs you're going to find in the metro area. 612-825-6867. 612-825-6867. A human being will answer and get your questions answered. It's a live human being. It's not a computer. Request an appointment online, welterheating.com. Thanks to the Welter family for their support of Garage Logic.
Not a Garage Logic town council member? Here's what you're missing.
It's Grant's birthday, so we need to wish Grant a birthday. Happy
that?
birthday. Grant produces Lori and Julia down the hall.
I don't know Grant.
Grant is the kid.
And I don't give a that it's his birthday.
Yeah, why do I have to do that?
Well, no, Rocco's putting together something.
Tell Grant to kiss my big fat butt. That's his birthday wish. Grant, kiss it.
Hey, Grant, if I knew who you were, I'd wish you a happy birthday.
Grant had you sign that really cool microphone. during this-
BFD.
Grant's a good
and-
fella.
Grant's one of the nicest kids in the
great.
building.
He really is, and he's a
That's
huge
why I don't
fan
like
of the
you,
show.
Grant. You're way too nice.
Go behind the scenes of Garage Logic with unfiltered audio and video access, invites to exclusive events, an emailed newsletter from the mayor himself, and more by signing up at garagelogic.com.
It's time to play Love in a Hardware Store.
Again?
Are you going to hit something? He looks like he's going to hit something.
It doesn't work.
No, you
Fighting the demagogues of diversity. It's Joe Souchere.
There's a GLer driving around the
Don't
United
play that Love in
States.
the Hardware anymore.
I didn't play it the first time.
Well, who did? Me?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. There's a GLer driving around the country.
With the cleanest cylinders the world has ever
That's right.
seen. The young Paul Souchere dropped a huge knowledge bomb on us this week, and I'm going to go with it all week because it blew me away. It's something I've never considered.
2
I've always put
You don't
like
need the whole can.
I've put it in before the oil change. Paul, being smarter than the rest of us and more of a GLer than his older brother,
Not really. Well, maybe.
puts a couple of ounces in his crankcase.
That's right.
Every oil change, that crank is happy and clean and joyous. Does he ever throw any right down the yap? I like throwing it right down the yap.
What's the yap?
The carburetor, injector, air
Well,
cleaner.
No, I don't know.
Does he ever throw it in the gas tank?
Oh, yeah.
Because these are all areas where you can throw the seafoam motor
Many
treatment.
orifices.
Many. If you could tip the car upside down and
That's
dump
right.
it down the tailpipe,
That's
it would
right.
work.
It would.
That's how amazing it is. And even more amazing, you can find this stuff the world over. It doesn't matter where you go. Tiny little general stores in Newfoundland, wherever the hell that is.
That's up that's out east.
Or Havana. I bet you they have seafoam in Havana. Why wouldn't they?
Well, because they're a bunch of commie liars. They don't
Well, it was going so good.
Yeah, I know.
Let me get back on track. A local company with a global reach and truly a wonderful product in a world of bad gas. Seafoam.
Is Seafoam made in Minnesota?
They are a
Or
Minnesota
just
company.
shipped and marketed from here?
I think they're based out of Eden Prairie,
So
if
it's
I
made
remember
right there. They
be.
must have a refinery.
Could be. These are questions I'm not willing to, no more questions.
That's extra.
please.
You have to pay extra for that.
Just want to commit to it, I think,
Here's
at this
John.
point.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Back to the news. U.S. President Joe Biden will visit Israel tomorrow to show support for its war on Hamas after Washington said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had agreed to let humanitarian aid reach besieged Gazans. Israel has vowed to annihilate the Hamas movement that controls Gaza after Hamas terrorists killed 1,300 Israelis, mostly civilians, during a rampage through southern Israeli towns on October 7th, the deadliest single day in Israel's 75-year history. over 3,000 Israelis injured in the terrorist attacks. In answer, Israel has bombarded the Gaza Strip with airstrikes. They've killed about 2,800 Palestinians, driven about half of the 2.3 million Gazans from their homes. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced Biden's planned visit at the end of hours of talks with Netanyahu, in which he said Netanyahu had agreed to develop a plan to get humanitarian aid to civilians. Washington also trying to rally Arab states to help head off a wider regional war after Iran pledged preemptive action from its allies, which include the Hezbollah movement in Lebanon. After Israel, Biden is expected to travel to Jordan to meet King Abdullah and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Jim Jordan, we had our first vote of the day here, and I just saw the results. Let me pull that up here if I can find it. Jim Jordan fell short of the 217 votes needed to succeed Kevin McCarthy in the first ballot today. Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat, bested Jordan, drawing 212 votes to Jordan's 200. There were 20 votes for other candidates. You need 217 to get the position. The night before the vote today, several Republican lawmakers emerged from the House GOP conference meeting saying they won't vote for Jordan. Jordan, however, came out of the meeting confident he will eventually be elected Speaker of the House, although as of now, first ballot today, he falls 17 votes short.
Help me understand something. Real quick look up Jim Jordan. Was he at Ohio State as a wrestling coach?
Correct.
What am I thinking of?
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
And didn't he ignore, cover up, or was not aware of some terrible problems there in the
sexual assault allegations
on the wrestling team?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Did he just look the other way on that, or what?
John, you're going to have to help me here.
The wrestlers say he looked the other way. He denies that, of course, saying he didn't know anything about it. But members of the wrestling team said he was well aware of everything that was going on. They went to him with the problems. He saw the problems happening and that he did nothing about them.
Was it some of the wrestlers who were misbehaving and the other wrestlers turned them in?
It was I believe, a doctor/trainer person who was involved in the abuse of wrestlers.
All for Pete's sake.
And the sexual abuse. And
he does not offer that on his Wikipedia.
He looks like a wrestler, a college-type wrestler.
Yeah.
Little fruitcake.
At least 3 Minnesota Republicans are supporting Jordan to become the next House Speaker. Representatives Brad Finstead and Michelle Fischbach have stated their support for Jordan. A source familiar with House Majority Whip Tom Emmer's decision said he also supports Jordan. There was no reply from Pete Stauber's office on Jordan. From the No Bleep Sherlock column, aging leaders of the Republican Democratic Party should step aside and make room for a new generation, according to former California governor and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Can't you just remove party affiliation from that sentence?
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, you could. Speaking at the Wall Street Journal's Tech Live conference, Schwarzenegger alluded to recent instances of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell freezing and falling silent without naming him, and said people in that position should start thinking about stepping aside and letting a newer generation step in and fill the vacuum. Asked whether he thinks President Biden should run for president, he said he wouldn't tell any politician not to run, but, quote, I just believe we should look for a new breed in both parties.
Feinstein's dead, and she's still voting.
Put it up. Where's the drum roll?
Boom, boom.
Police on a Tuesday shot dead a suspected Tunisian extremist accused of gunning down 2 Swedish soccer fans in a brazen assault on a Brussels street that sent shockwaves through Belgium and Sweden. Hours after the suspect disappeared into the night and a manhunt was launched in the capital, Interior Ministry Annelies Verlinden posted on X that the perpetrator in the attack has been identified and has died. Amateur videos posted on social media of Monday's attack showed a man wearing an orange fluorescent vest pull up on a scooter, take out a large weapon, and open fire on people getting out of a taxi. He chased them into a building to gun them down. He was also filmed calmly loading his weapon as cars slowly drove by. Questions remain unanswered over how a man who was on police files for the past decade, thought to be radicalized and being sought for deportation, was able to obtain a military weapon and launch such an attack. Did you guys see any of that video?
I did not.
No,
He's
I
riding around. town on the thing, just shooting at random and then stops. And yeah, it is very frightening.
Disturbing.
Disturbing, yes. A bizarre raid saw a SWAT team arrest 4 squatters running an illegal strip club out of a suburban Atlanta home.
Oh, we needed SWAT for that, huh?
Which allegedly had everything from dancers to horses on the property. Neighbors, and it's not out in the country either. It's a suburb.
And it's that first tent you hit where the guy says, human or horse?
Here's what gets me.
Yes.
Isn't it enough to squat and you'd want to be quiet about it? They get in there and say, now that we're in here, what the hell? Let's have a strip club. Let's have a strip club.
Let's have chicken fights in the basement, horse rides out back.
Neighbors have been complaining, and they were finally able to get authorities to come out to the home after complaining about next door's noises. In addition to the illegal dancers, there were noisy parties held at the race on weekends, also car races on the street.
Noisy parties.
One unidentified neighbor said they would get live horses. One day there, they had a bunch of live horses. The neighbors not only lost sleep, but would wake up the next day to piles of trash in front of the home. They also were annoyed, they said, by occasional gunfire going off in the area and the stench of marijuana. After levying several complaints, police and the SWAT team finally showed up at the house last Sunday. An officer said the last straw was a license plate reader discovering a stolen car on the premises. The driver of the stolen car initially refused to come out when pressed by police before they moved in. Once officers got inside, they found another stolen car, stolen IDs, and even stolen credit cards. 4 people were arrested. 2 of them have no arrest records, but 2 of them have lengthy rap sheets dating back to 1995 and 1986. They were squatters. They had no right to be there. Police say they are contacting the actual owner of the home to find out if he perhaps could give them a little more information on what exactly was going on.
So reporting is at what it used to be. We don't know why the house was empty.
No,
but
not at this point.
We do have a question to my ignorant ass question, or we have an answer. Yeah, SWAT was needed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, SWAT was
sounds
needed,
like a good idea to call in the SWAT team. Yeah.
Yep. Boy, this sounds like something from a TV show. Merle Hefferman told the crematory manager of the funeral home he wanted to make things disappear. The manager, Levi Phipps, thought Hefferman could only be talking about one thing: human bodies. Federal prosecutors spelled out in most graphic detail yet how Hefferman, a member of the Hells Angels of Sonoma County, used his connection at a Fresno funeral home to incinerate the body of Joel Silva, a murdered member of the biker gang back in the summer of 2014. Also included the new allegations, Silva was one of just 4 bodies that Hefferman directed to be illegally cremated at the funeral home that the Hells Angels called the Pizza Oven. Hefferman pleaded guilty in December to obstructing justice by getting rid of Silva's body, but has not yet been charged or convicted in the other 3 alleged cremations. His plea came as part of a much larger racketeering takedown of 12 members of the Hells Angels of Sonoma County. Part of the same case, 3 other members of the gang were convicted of killing Silva. Brian Went convicted of shooting him in the head, and 2 other members convicted of murder for orchestrating the killing of Silva.
It's not a bad side hustle. It's kind of the modern day Woo's Pigs, right? Remember Woo's Pigs from Deadwood?
Deadwood.
I didn't see Deadwood.
Yeah, they'd throw the bodies in the pigsty there, and the pigs would take care of them.
Oh, yeah.
What'd they do with the bones?
Pigs would take care of that. Yep.
Working relationship with Mr.
Well, John, thank you. That was a terrible note to go out on, but
I know.
What are you going to do?
I thought it was fascinating. It gave me an idea for entrepreneurship. I don't know, maybe.
I got a plug that I need to do, if you would be so kind. It has to do with Second Stork, and we are having our 2nd annual Stork Fest Tuesday, November 2nd at 6 o'clock. It is at Mancini's Rathskeller. Pat Mancini and Johnny Mancini were very generous last year. Live music from the Goombas, Cash Bar, appetizers, a lot of activities. It's a blast. Sign up at secondstork.org. Tickets are $50, and if you were nice enough to generate some funds when you bought a map, if you didn't, this is a really fun night, and Pat Mancini plays in that band, and he goes crazy. It's a completely different Pat Mancini. So Stork Fest, Thursday, November 2nd, 6 o'clock. Tickets at secondstork.org for information.
Well, in the meantime,
thank you.
In the meantime,
Yep.
get the Grunhoffers. I just noticed something.
What do you got?
You can win a 10-pound prime rib roast by signing a ticket at Grunhoffers, either in Hugo or in Forest Lake.
Okay.
But they say winner will be selected Thursday, October 14th. There is no such thing as Thursday, October 14th. I've been reading this wrong. I've been reading this in error.
Was it? Oh,
Today's the 17th.
yeah, Friday was the 13th. Saturday was the 14th.
Yeah, maybe the winner has been announced already, or it means Thursday, October 19th. Maybe. In any event, it's, you know what? If you miss out on the 10-pound prime rib, load up on everything else. The brats, the burgers, the steaks, meat and cheese snack packs. They even have cookies now, Grunhofer's cookies. And you can treat yourself or someone else, and the flavors vary daily. Taco Tuesdays just got better. Taco lovers.
Always.
Taco
Tuesday.
bratwurst. Add taco brat. This is Tuesday. Add taco bratwurst to your taco.
Huh?
What?
Yep. You can do that.
Your Taco Tuesday mealtime.
God, now I understand. Thank you for clearing that up for me.
For some reason, I was going Tarker.
Tarker?
Sure.
It was taco.
They don't spell Tarkers.
It's a meat emporium. GLers know what I'm talking about. GLers flock to Grunhofer's. It's Grunhofer's just north of Hugo on Highway 61.
Pork and stuffing pinwheels.
Okay.
That's what's on their,
Okay.
what do you call it? Their Instagram right
And
now.
Grunhofer's in Forest Lake, just east of 35 on Highway 97. And coming soon, a third Grunhofer's location in the White Bear Lake area. What are you showing me?
Angus sirloin tip
Oh,
roast.
come
That's
on.
what you would
That's
get and
what
throw in the
Reavers
crock.
are looking for. You wanted to make tips.
Well, it's right
Is that
there.
what you make tips with?
That's right, Joe.
A beautiful piece of meat.
That's what I should get to try the meal.
Yeah, you should.
Hey, write it out for me.
All right.
Write out the whole, or else I'll get the recipe from Grunhofer's. They're also good at that. There isn't anything they don't know about meat at Grunhofer's in Hugo and Forest Lake.
Okay.
What is the problem?
You're playing blank squares on there because
Why
your
not?
mouse was hovered over something that didn't have a soundbite on it.
Shooting blanks again, huh, Joe?
Yep. Better check
No,
your
I'm
mouse.
aiming at ones that have words.
It's time to play
I-
Love It Hardware Store.
Such, I have a request, if you don't mind. For the final 10 minutes
What?
of the show, I would like you and John Heidt to break down the Ken Burns documentary filmmaking
I
process.
thought we weren't going to bring that
Not
up during
bringing
the
it
show. Yeah.
I gave it an hour. I'm done. All right?
That was it.
Yeah. It's beautifully filmed.
How long is it? Two?
2 segments of 2 hours each.
How long is it anyway?
So I've seen 25% of it.
And that's
Very
enough.
good.
And that's
You
plenty.
did math.
That's
you did
plenty.
math.
All right. Now, yesterday, Kenny wondered if the traveling Lymans went
Oh.
through the Panama Canal
Yeah.
to
Did
get
they?
to Ecuador. To be fact-based, not on this trip. We flew from Minnesota to Houston, Texas to Quito. We have cruised the full transit of the Panama Canal twice, once in each direction. In January of 2013 from San Diego to Miami, Florida, and in November of 2018 from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Valparaiso, Chile.
I want to start in New York, go through the Panama Canal, and come out at the Columbia River where Washington and Oregon meet. That's the cruise I want to do.
Well, I'm sure the Lymans could give you tips. They're the traveling Lymans, and they're currently they're in a couple places today. Isle Florina, Ecuador, Post Office Bay, and Isla Floriana, Ecuador, Cormorant Point, Champion Bay. God almighty, they really, really get around, don't they?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And it's only because they come to us all the way from wherever they are in the world.
Okay.
On this day,
Joe, today is October 17th.
in 1825, William R. Marshall was born near Columbia, Missouri. As an adult, he moved to Minnesota, owned a hardware store in St. Paul, founded the St. Paul Press in 1861, and fought with the 7th Minnesota Volunteer Infantry Regiment in the Civil War. As the 5th governor of the state, he advocated extending the right to vote to African American men. That law was passed in 1868, 2 years before the 15th Amendment afforded suffrage nationwide. He died on January 8, 1896. On this day,
10-1-7.
in 1924, the Phyllis Wheatley Settlement House, later renamed the Phyllis Wheatley Community Center, named for the 18th century poet, opened in North Minneapolis. The oldest African-American agency in the Twin Cities, the center first served as a place where young people met for recreation and skill development, and later provided a home away from home for civic leaders, educators, entertainers, and students.
Kenny, please describe skill. What was it? Skill what?
Skill development.
Skill development.
Skill development. On this day,
Not touching that one.
on this day,
October 17th.
in 1975, Rochester declared an air pollution alert and earned the dubious distinction of having the highest carbon monoxide levels recorded in the state.
Woo-hoo!
This
Go
and other
Rochester!
alerts in the state during the early 1970s were caused by a stagnant weather system that did not blow away industrial and automobile emissions. I do not recall that from 1975.
Climate change.
Well, beautifully enough, they don't mention climate change. They mention a stagnant weather pattern
Trust me, it's climate change.
that didn't blow away the junk on this day in 1975. I'll be darned. I don't recall that. Thank you, GLers.
There's a new way to level up your sports watching experience. Join over 1 million fans across 33 states who got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. You can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite players' stats like touchdowns, passing, yards, and more. I find it easy and fun to use while rooting for my favorite players. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward. Signing up even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code GarageLogic, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code GarageLogic to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Thank you very much, GLers. We're pleased that so many of you, have signed up for the town council and get to enjoy us prior to, post-show, during the show. You just get to, hang out with us.
Had a wonderful argument today before the show.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining.
Yeah, you get stuff like that. So let's go here. Check out the town council for $10 a month or $100 a year. It is a fun and wise investment, okay? That's the Garage Logic Town Council at garagelogic.com. Also, we've got the shop is open, garagelogic.com. What's for sale? 30 years of common sense, Knack Hardware and Lounge, University of GL, Failed Academy, Garage Logic Boat Works, Two Cycle Auto Works, Monday Night Sports Talk, and all sorts of great stuff. 30 years of common sense. Check it all out, garagelogic.cha.
It is time once again that we pick up the phone and we make that call to our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again here in Garage Logic, and now's the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You call that number, you get Josh, and he is there for you for that free, yes, I said free, 48-minute financial consultation. And he's on the the line with us once again. And boy, Josh, 55,000 people headed to Iowa to watch Caitlin Clark play outdoors in basketball.
Chris, when I read that number, I was astonished. Now, I am a sports fan, more so with baseball than with basketball or football. I do love watching hockey. I do like watching lacrosse. And I've been a runner for about 58 years, although right now turtles run a lot faster than I do. That said, to me, it was an amazing event that 55,000 people showed up for a early season exhibition between Iowa and DePaul that raised a lot of money to watch women's basketball. It proves that Title IX is alive and well, providing plenty of opportunities for, we'll say, more participation in sports. But it also gets me excited for other, we'll say, sports-related activities and how they impact on the market. Now, this is not, I'm not trying to segue and say, oh, we got plenty of sports betting, and that's not definitely to take away from the numbers that showed up to watch a premier basketball player play basketball. Because Caitlin Clark is definitely a premier player. But the sports betting continues to expand, and it expands not only in terms of participants, but also in terms of states that have legalized sports betting and online sports betting. And that has been a theme that I have invested around for a lot of years and has been part of the, say, one part of the focus that I have had for my clients on leisure-related companies. So my focus has been companies involved in the internet, companies involved in leisure, China-related businesses, real assets, and doing some short-term trading. I use an asset allocation model of keeping up to 30% in cash, both for safety and to take advantage of any market pullbacks. And then typically in any year, you're going to see 3 to 4, 5 to 10% pullbacks, and we're in one of those at this juncture. But leisure-related businesses, I have found in many, we'll say, economic environments, good times or bad times, leisure-related stocks seem to hold up pretty well. Now, when it comes to sports betting, online sports betting, the leaders currently have been FanDuel, which is owned by Flutter, an English company, and my favorite has been DraftKings. These companies are not as yet super profitable, but profits are starting to come in. They do spend a lot of money on promotions and spending money to keep customers because it is still a fairly competitive field. In terms of online sports betting, both FanDuel/Flutter and DraftKings have about a market share of about 77% of the online sports betting market. So that does give them an edge over, we'll say, the brick and mortar places such as Wynn, MGM, Mirage, Caesars, and Penn Gaming, and other companies that have smaller pieces of the online business. The advantage, of course, to the brick and mortar is they're going to get customers walking in the door and staying for select periods of time, and that could translate to extra income, not only from their regular gaming activities, but from their sports books. And with football season underway, basketball season starting soon, hockey season underway, and even Formula One racing coming next month to Las Vegas, the sports books and sports-related companies should, over time, be able to add revenue, and if they keep expenses under control, that should translate into some positive earning surprises.
Very good advice, Mr. Money Talk. Well, you heard him, GLers. Now's the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free, yes, I said free, 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608, where you're always going to get straight talk and never, ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, as always, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday.
Certainly will. Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.